welcome to the first of Meet the Shijie artist. This is Mr. James Davies, who's a fairly recent Shijie artist, but I'd actually known James
Oh,
for
yeah.
exchanging messages for a good year or so before
Yeah,
that.
probably a good year. Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. So, do you give a quick introduction of yourself, and then we'll delve into things a little bit deeper? You notice I've got into interviewing mode now.
Go for it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, my name's James. I'm a guitarist and educator in the Southwest, well, based in the Southwest of the UK. Gig a lot, play a lot, love guitars. What else is to more to be said, really? Yeah, I'm just a guitarist, and
So, so what would you describe yourself in one sentence as a musician?
what would I describe myself as?
Yeah. If
Man, it's hard because I think, especially a musician nowadays, you have to do a bit of everything. So,
yeah.
like, it depends what hat I've got on for that day, So I'm a music. Some days I'm like that young boy and just a guitarist in this room, and then other times I'm putting a different hat on and I'm being a teacher, and then I'm doing the whole when I'm gigging, doing session work or studio work. So it all depends really. So I would say I don't really fit into one particular camp, as it were.
It's funny, I've noticed, like, like when I was sort of playing professionally and stuff, I was playing in bands and stuff, and I've noticed that if you're going to be a professional musician now, you've got to do a bit of everything. You know,
Yeah,
certainly like the new guy, I'm not sure you've seen him, that we've got from Chile. He's more or less the same as you. He does live shows with people, and he does studio work,
mm,
and he does teaching. He's got a separate sort of like teaching channel, Professor Salvio.
yeah.
Um,
You have to really.
Another again, like you, an amazing player. He's like probably he's probably the highest rated guitarist in Chile.
Yeah.
So he's a good guy to look out for. So let's go back then. How long have you been playing? How old are you now, and how long have you been playing?
Well, I'm 38 now. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I started playing when I was about 10, I would say, but then it
yeah.
wasn't until about maybe 13 I started taking it sort of serious, like super serious, and like playing, out the kind of hours a day.
Yeah. Well, what made you start in the first place? Was it a bit of
Um,
like peer pressure or parents or?
no, no peer pressure at all. I think like I've got two older siblings. My sister played; she played piano. My older brother was kind of he played guitar as well. But most of it, I think, comes from my parents. Like my dad he doesn't play any instruments, but he always had music going on in the house. So like
Right.
there was always like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, all the classic rock stuff. Like he liked, he just loved music. Uh,
Yeah.
he's Welsh, my dad, so he was just like the Welsh bands,
Ah, been
budgie.
singing in the valleys. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's in their blood, and I was actually
Yeah.
born there as well. But
All right.
um, yeah, that's another story. Another story. But yeah, so it would just play music from a very young age in the house. I think I just got hooked on that, and then I had a friend in school who had the guitar. And then he was like, "You should have a go," and then I had a go, and then that was pretty much it. And then a few years later, like I say, I started then really taking it super serious. Like I knew what I wanted at 13. I was like, I wanted to do.
Did you take formal lessons, and was it your ambition from that point on to always be a professional
Yeah.
guitarist, or were you planning on being a binman, or
No,
no?
it was frustrating because obviously in school they teach you this like this plan of what you should do from 12 years old to 18 and how your life they should plan it out. Like you go to university, you do, and I knew even back then I didn't want to make that path, and I knew I just wanted guitar and that was it. And I didn't know how I was going to get to a professional level. I didn't even know what a professional was. I didn't start playing guitar to be a professional. It was just I didn't have almost a goal in mind. I knew I wanted to be a session guitarist. That was it. But
Right. It
how
wasn't the
you got
chicks or anything, no.
what's that?
It wasn't the chicks or anything like that
No,
inspired.
no, no, never thought of it for like that. And I know a lot of people do it for that. But I just had this. I just wanted to play guitar. That was what gave me the enjoyment, and I knew I wanted to get to this point, but I didn't know how to get there. And
Yeah.
you learn along the way that kind of thing.
So did you take formal lessons off somebody? I mean, you're, if you don't mind me saying, a very technically competent guitarist. Your fingering technique, matron, is probably the probably one of the cleanest and best that I've ever seen, to be honest.
Oh,
So
thank
how
you.
did you develop that? And was it through formal lessons or?
Well, there's like been two key teachers, I would say, in my guitar life. I never went to university. I never did that. I never went down that route. I just played a lot and learned a lot. Asked so many questions, so that I did have a formal teacher. I had two teachers. The first one was a kind of teacher who kind of got me on the path of, you know, he was into like the Joe Satriani, Yngwie Malmsteen, that kind of thing. And that was all well and good. And that got me to a kind of certain level. But I kind of knew that there was more I could get better, and there was more to, you know, playing guitar and just more I could learn. The second teacher in particular was a guy called George Maris, who, like, you should check him out. He's a very like renowned guitarist himself in the UK. He's a Greek guy, Greek born, but lives in London, and he just opened up way more than I could ever know about harmony, music, timing, technique, and everything like that.
So are you a sight reader?
I can sight read, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, just going on from that point, the way I built that kind of thing up was just playing, not letting my like ego take me. Like, this has got to be the fastest. I was always like, practice super slow, really be methodical about that, and build from there. Not trying to race ahead. Just
So
slow,
you're
slow.
literally one of the guys that got the metronome out and sort of did everything perfectly in order to develop your technique. Yeah.
I did, but this was from my second teacher who told me that that my first one, even though he was good, I missed a lot of fundamentals out, and i.e. fretboard knowledge, like seeing the fretboard and knowing intervals, that kind of thing was totally bypassed me the first part. He was kind of anti metronome. Then my
Right.
second one, he noticed, can see these flaws in me, and it was like, you need to do this, this, and this if you want to get to this level. And I was like, okay, I'll do whatever you kind of say.
Yeah.
Um, so that was it. Like, I sort of burnt everything to the ground and kind of started again, even though at that point I was already playing like along to like Yngwie Malmsteen and Steve Vai. It just I knew there was something more together. So yeah, I sort of like restarted, if you like, and
So I mean, obviously you've evolved as a player, James. So who are who are your early influences? I mean, like I have favorite players that I play absolutely nothing like any of them
yeah.
because I've never found that it influences me that much. Some would like to be able to play it,
Mm.
like, but it just doesn't happen. But I do enjoy listening to them. Who were your sort of like influences that because if I look at you, I always think of a guy as being a fusion jazz rocky, but I know that that's not part of your musical makeup originally. So
Uh,
who was it that you started liking and what made you evolve?
no, exactly, and like I've so many different influences in bands. Like, some people go like, I can't believe you listen to that, and I was like, yeah, because I've never, people listen through trends over the years.
Yeah.
I've always stuck. So if I've liked something, I've always still listened to it. Like, I never stopped listening to that person. But like growing up early, obviously my dad was a big factor in, one, like why I'm playing today, but secondly, like who I started listening to. So yeah, it was like Led Zeppelin, Clapton, AC/DC, Black Sabbath. Those are the guys.
You're actually quite a young guy for having those sort of like influences. So that's come from your dad, right?
100%. Well, yeah, yeah. You look at like kids like now, I guess. Like, I don't know how many would have those kind of. I knew the back catalogue of like Zeppelin before I was like 11. So
Plenty
like,
of,
or
right.
listening to it, that is.
Yeah.
But and then learning it, and then I was into like Ozzy and like Randy Rhoads and Gary Moore and stuff. But that was all through my dad. And then going back, when I first started lessons, and it was like Satriani, Dream Theater, Malmsteen, and all those kind of 80s shrapnel shredders, I would say.
So when you were learning all this stuff, I mean, you're young enough to have sort of like come along with the YouTube generation. So if you're wanting to learn stuff, was it YouTube that you went to, or was it?
I think I was just before, like when YouTube kicked off, like 2007 esque. I was like 21, I think. Yeah, about 21. And I'd already like, playing seriously from the age of 13, 14. I had already done quite a fair few years of practice. It was mainly CDs and then slowing it down. And that's what I used to do just to work it out.
Like one of those old TIAC things that slowed it down. I remember
Yeah.
having,
Yeah,
yeah,
Windows Media Player just used to slow it down. I mean, I've had people back in the day where they put the needle on the right place on the vinyl to just try and
yeah,
rewind and slow it down. Or I wouldn't have a clue how to use that. But I mean, yeah, CDs were the thing before any
yeah,
kind of YouTube or tutorials like that. It was like, and this is the thing how it's changed now. And like I know it from like teaching myself is if you want to learn, like I get a lot of people from through my YouTube who want to learn kind of my kind of style. Um, Back in the day, if you wanted a guitar teacher, you'd just find your local one. You'd go in the guitar shop and go, "Who's the best local teacher?" Yeah, I have him. Or you maybe look at a newspaper or something. Yellow
yeah.
Pages. Now it's like you can go online and Google them. Online teacher. Like the online thing's changed everything. So I can't remember where I was going with that point, but yeah, if you want, learning is so much more accessible now. So much easier to find what you're looking for. Was back then it wasn't. It was just you were kind of like told do that.
And the world's a small place now, right? So, like, we're obviously a Chinese-based guitar
Yeah,
company, and this video will be going out in sort of China, Indonesia, Japan. So,
yeah,
we'll obviously put translations up and everything for
yeah.
everything. You'll probably have much fun with my Manchester accent
I
trying to
should have
work
brushed
out
up on
exactly
my Asian. Yeah.
what I'm saying. But things like YouTube and those social media platforms, Weibo and stuff, they're really good for getting people's name out there. Like, and you can end up taking lessons off anybody from anywhere in the world,
Oh,
so long as you've got the physical time to be able to do it, and you don't mind the time zones. I am aware of a couple of people that have been offered tours and stuff from the other side of the world, even famous ones, even like Steve Perry. Steve Perry, when he dropped out of Journey, he was discovered through YouTube, right?
he was. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Ariel. I knew.
um, forgotten
Amazing.
his name now. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. It's
Steve Perry's replacement.
yeah, Ariel Penia or whatever I think his name,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
Filipino guy. Yeah,
Philip.
and I
Yeah,
and I saw Journey with him in. He was wicked. So good.
yeah. I must
Lots of
admit,
people
I
like. I'm just trying to
I
think.
seen him with him in it, and I walked out about halfway through. To be
Oh,
honest,
really?
yeah, I did. Yeah,
No way. Okay, we might
yeah.
have had different experiences to that. Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, I
it was a
first saw him when he.
really it was a really poor sound on the night, and Neil was always like one of my god players.
Yeah, Neil
But
Sean.
I could hardly hear anything that he was playing. He was just a mess of echo, and
Yeah,
Arnel Pineda was just running around the stage like crazy, and I
yeah.
think that they knew there was something wrong with the sound that night. But
Right.
then the drummer sung "Mother Father," and it was just awesome.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So
yeah. Great
who
band.
knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
So we talked about your early influences and stuff. Which, if you were to say now, if people don't know you at the moment, though, I'm sure they'll go and find out now later who you are.
Yeah.
Who would you say that you're closest to in terms of like a musical style, or are you just unique?
Um. No, I wouldn't say I'm like 100% unique, but I mean, I think there's elements of everything in my playing. Like you pointed out, like I've gone to that kind of jazz fusion kind of sound,
Yeah,
and I picked up on that because like from other British players um, like Tom Quayle, those kind of guys. Greg Howe was a big influence on me.
I would have said Greg Howe. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Greg
sure.
Howe,
Yeah,
love Greg Howe, and it was when I'd learned rock and I learned all this like 80s shred stuff, and I was like, there's got to be more, and then I got started getting into like exotic kind of more scales, like melodic minor and things like this, and
yeah,
that is that sound. Like I love people like Wayne Krantz, Greg Howe, John Schofield, and some like the straight ahead jazz stuff as well.
right.
Robert Montgomery, Kurt Rosenwinkel, those sorts of guys. But I think the fusion sound, because I have that rock background, and
Yeah,
that is never going to go away, and because I like jazz, that is a kind of a mix between them both. It's kind of the fusion sound. Alan Holdsworth,
Yeah.
is another guy who, like, the technique wise was. I know musically, I know a lot of people either. He's like
Yeah. I
Marmite.
think Gary Moore was my personal sort of like favorite.
He
And
could do a
yet,
lot. He could do
yeah,
a
well,
lot.
I remember buying Back on the Streets, and he was like listening to a jazz rock album for about
Yeah,
50% of it,
Jeff Beck
because
as
I think
well.
he was with Coliseum
Yeah,
at the time, or Coliseum too. So now you've evolved a bit. What do you prefer doing, live, studio? I mean, we've already said the modern guitarist needs to make a living in lots of different ways. Would you
yeah.
say that where are you most comfortable and what do you enjoy? It may not necessarily be the same thing.
I think it depends what you feel. Like, live is like you've got to play. You've got to be willing to play stuff you don't necessarily want to do. And the studio for that as well, because it's a job and you have to
Yeah,
cater for. I think that guitarists have this kind of ego; they want to play what they want to play, but you can't do that on every gig, and you can't do that in every studio
no,
kind of session. You've got to play what's needed, and that's your job. Whilst it's very difficult I think that comes maybe with experience, though. The longer you do it, and
I remember James doing a summer season, and and there's a bit of me this rubbed off on later, but we had a bass player, and they said you need to be able to do this country song, and he just turned around flatly because we were backing people as well, and he just said, "This bass doesn't play country." Understand that? So I ended up, he literally just wouldn't play it, so I ended up playing bass.
uh,
Uh, and But I did draw the line a square dance when I lived in Peterborough. When they wanted to do some square dancing and stuff, I said, "Not for me. You can do that without me."
uh,
But again, young and arrogant.
yeah,
At the end
yeah,
of the day, you should just do what you paid to do.
yeah.
We're all musical whores at the end of the day.
That's it. That's it.
No,
Um, it
may not be an attractive term of phrase, but it's
uh,
probably right.
no, I
Yeah,
mean, going back to what I prefer, I think it depends. Like, musicians are the only kind of job that you would go, like, drive 500 miles for with thousands of quid worth of gear in your car for a 50 quid gig, or
yeah,
£50 if
yeah,
anyone watching doesn't understand what I mean by quid. Yeah, £50 gig. We do it for the love of it, and then you
yeah,
get the occasional gig where it's like, it's just, oh, that was, amazing. This is the best. And then the week after, you might do a gig, um, and it's just like how I described. There's two people there. That happens all the time to musicians, whether you're right up here or whether you're just starting out. It's never quite worked that one out.
yeah.
But
I've played in venues with there's only been the bar staff there,
yeah,
and and the bar staff have had a good time because we've insisted on like going
yeah,
on, and because they said
everyone
they
everyone
were
goes
gonna
through
play us
that.
because like you say, you're 3 hours in a van to get there, and you've
Everyone,
unloaded all the gear in the snow, so
that's
you just do
it.
it.
It's the same with studio work. You might record, you might put your heart and soul into this record, and three people listen to it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's exactly the same. But then you go and you might do something, and especially in this day and age where you can promote very well.
Go viral.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could go viral. So it really depends. So nowadays, I'm quite happy to turn gigs down, or turn studio stuff down, which I don't want to do. I have to like it to want to do it
yeah,
now. Whilst when you're younger, you just do anything.
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's a lot of energy to just do that, and you know, as time goes on, you feel like your energy could go. Maybe you've got that time to put something of your own or write your own music, or you want to work on practicing more that you need to work on. You don't always have to say yes to things. I think to get your name out there, it's good too, but it's all about enjoying it for me. So I don't really prefer one to the other. I love both. Playing live
yeah,
and studio are my favorites. And I love teaching as well. I love that kind of aspect as well. But obviously, I started playing guitar to play, not to be a teacher.
yeah,
Some people may start to be a teacher, but if I'm honest with myself, I played guitar because I enjoyed it. So of course I
yeah.
want to do it for my.
I think that the for me that buzz you get when you come off stage and you've had a good gig,
Yeah.
He's matched only by the reverse polarity when you come off stage and you've had a bad gig.
Yeah.
And they're both two extremes, but it's an adrenaline rush that you get.
Yeah. That's it.
For me,
That.
or if you know that you've done something that was particularly tasty when you've been recording, you think, I've got that. I'm
Yeah.
always going to have that. Always
Yeah.
really proud of that. So do you, what? Let's flip over to the gear side of things now, which I'm guessing a lot of people are fairly interested in because we're a guitarist, right? So we're all gear
Yeah.
heads. So do you have different gear that and again, technology's moved on. Do you have different gear that you use for different occasions? Do you use your studio stuff the same as you're using live, or how does it vary?
Yeah, so like I would say since 2016, I went purely like digital, live and studio. Started off like getting the Kemper, using the Kemper, but now I'm mostly with the Fractal, FM3 or the Quad Cortex. I have both.
You've just shot me because I didn't know that you'd had an FM3 as well. I
Uh,
thought that you were a quad
Quad
cortex player.
Cortex. I I am both. I'm allowed to. It's like
Right.
having, you know, I'm allowed. I know people go, oh, one or the other, but I'll have a Ferrari and I'll have a Porsche.
So,
I'll have
so
both.
does one work for one type of occasion better than the other one, or is it just how you feel on the night?
I
And do you have
love.
similar sounds programmed in? Have you profiled them from one to the other? Or
I've profiled a bit, but the FM3 is obviously a slightly different beast than the Quad Cortex. I find the effects, especially on the Fractal, really strong. Uh,
yeah,
I find the reliability as well is quite sturdy. So I use that. I tend to use the FM3 when I go out gigging. I think it translates really well gigging as well, and the feel
yeah.
of it's really nice. The Cortex I leave at home tend to bit in bubble cotton wool, should I say? Bubble
Right.
wrap. That's the
Yeah,
word.
I think Fractal have been because they've been around so long now at the very sort of like top. The,
They're
the,
great.
they've got that roadworthiness down, and the
Yeah,
back very very good, and
yeah,
their
they are, and I
support's
mean,
good.
and purely, there's a couple of reasons why I use the digital stuff is the sound you get out of it. I mean, when it's in the mix with something, especially if you're recording, um, you can't tell if it's real or not. I don't care who you kind of are. It's very difficult to know. And they've
Yeah,
got multiple tests where you can A/B stuff, and it's the software in these things is only getting better and better. It's easy. It goes directly to my in ears when I wear in ears, so there's no on stage noise if when I'm gigging as well, and it's consistent. So you don't have to mic it up and have the mic in the right place, especially if you're recording a long project. I don't have to have a mic on the amp in a particular place all the time and start messing with it. It's just super easy. I think sound engineers like it. It's a lot easier to control, but it's also great for me. Like I record a lot of videos at home for my channel, and it's just bang, plug in, everything's set up, put the patch on, and film, and
right.
that's it. So if for easier sake, it's great. Of course, if I could have an amp all the time, then yeah, I probably would. But I know realistically, not
An
now. Especially if I'm doing
airplane flying
gigs.
overhead.
What's that?
An airplane flying
Oh
overhead.
right, yeah. And whilst gigging as well, sometimes you're playing gigs where it's like the other week, it was like, okay, you've got 20 minutes to set up. It's like, okay, you need something I can just bang. And travel as well is another thing. That's why I've
Yeah,
gone down that. It's I can take everything in one go. Whilst
yeah,
I'll do a gig and I'm off, and the drummer's still packing away his hardware and stuff. And he's like, oh, "It's all right for you," and I'm like, "Well, you shouldn't be a drummer, you know."
yeah, yeah,
Reason number
yeah.
one. But yeah, and the modern stuff with the amps and pedals, I'm totally out of that loop. I have no idea, you know.
Yeah, one of the other Shijie artists, Mark Day, I happen to know quite well. I've known him a long, long time,
Mm.
and he's obviously like a fractal artist, and he's one of the godfathers of that 80s sort of like rock tone, and he's even got patches in the fractal stuff that's named after him.
I saw it. Yeah, no, on the F3 edit, I
Yeah,
can see.
all high gain stuff, Mark, with Mark.
Yeah, yes,
All
yeah.
yeah, and he's also one of the nicest blokes that you could ever wish to meet. He's just a lovely guy. But he was telling me like, he and I grew up around this music at the same time. He was obviously a bit further down the road than I was, but we both used to have like refrigerator-sized racks with IntelliFXs in and
Yeah,
Voodoo valves and
yeah,
a
yeah,
couple
yeah.
of 4B12s. And he's just said now, he said, I don't even have an amp on stage. He said it's in-ear monitor,
That's the
plug
same.
straight in, and it's the same sound every night, totally consistent. You haven't got to worry about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is the consistency. It's not lugging about all this gear, putting it in your car. The only
Do you think you lose something from a stage presence point of view by having like
well, there's two things I think you lose with the digital, and even though I probably won't go back to amps because it's so reliable, but there's two things. Is yeah, you can miss a bit of backline. I do take an FRFR cab out with me, which is just like a flat response cab. Basically, I just plug in.
which one of them do you
I
use?
got the Fender Tone Master,
Okay.
the 12 with a 12-inch speaker, and it's great
Yeah.
if you want to feel a bit um, just in the back of your legs while you're playing, and you can angle it up as well, so you can hear it. Even though I've got in ears in, can't hear it
Yeah.
from there, but I can feel it. The other thing which you kind of lose with the digital is the kind of the touch and the feel with the guitar. I feel that it's ever so slight, and when you roll down the volume as well, so the first initial part of the note feels a bit funny whilst on an amp. You roll down
Really?
the volume, you can feel the dynamic a bit more. Yeah, I think it responds better with an amp, but I'm I'm really like being super picky.
Pros and cons, really, I guess, right? And
Yeah.
the pros far outweigh
Oh
the
yeah, and it's only going to get better. You know, they're at the start of it. I mean, digital. When you think the Kemper came out 2012, something like that,
who
2000.
still played by my favorite guitarist, so Lisa X. She
Right there, you go.
yeah, she's still using the Kemper stuff now.
Yeah, and I mean,
Uh,
you think the technology what's in that? That's
yeah,
old. And I mean, so I think as time goes on, you give it another 10 years, 11 years on that. It's only going to get better, that kind of stuff, especially with AI. And if you're creating stuff with AI now, that's going to be the next big thing that which they're going to incorporate into these kind of digital processing stuff,
I
units.
think I think the cloning of sounds is something that's probably going to take off over the next couple of years. Ethically, I'm not so sure that it's great that you can go ahead and digitally. We know that now that you can sample somebody else's guitar sound, but they're saying now that they're going to be able to get the nuances of that player's feel as well for you doing it, and have that digital corrected. I think that
Scary.
that's when it goes too far for me.
But yeah, you're taking out the human element, aren't you, of that?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and it's yeah, that's a scary thing.
So, well, I think we've covered quite a lot there. So, just a couple of quick sort of like fire questions, some of which we've already. Uh, I don't know if I'll just refer to my notes for those, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go
uh,
for it.
um, and then we'll just talk about guitars briefly at the end. Yeah,
Yeah,
because we're a guitar
got it,
channel at the end of the
got
day.
it.
Why not? Yeah. So, uh, we've already said analog or valve.
I'd go Valve.
You would prefer valve.
I'd go if I had a choice. Yeah.
Sorry, analog and valve or digital on stage.
Oh, Valve as well, but for easy sake and good sound, digital. If I
Okay.
had a choice and no money was an option. Sorry, this is quick fire.
So yeah, it's all right. Um, if you could be in any band in the world, which band would who would you replace in it? Which band would it be?
I'd be Toto,
So you'd replace Steve
Steve
Lukather.
Lukather, which I'm never going to be able to do. So he's safe.
Yeah,
Because he was him and Dan Huff were my studio
yeah, yeah.
session. My session, I wanted to be like them, like session guitarists who played on Michael Jackson, and they would go and do whatever, So yeah, I would say Toto because they can play everything as well, pretty much.
Even though you're a renowned tutor yourself, if you could have a private lesson with any guitarist, who would it be?
Guthrie Govan,
Guthrie Govan.
yeah, 100%.
Any particular reason?
Because for me, he's the best. He's the goat for me. He can play any. I think pretty much anything. He may not be the best in each genre, but he can play anything. I've heard him go
Yeah,
through standards, and then he can play rock, and then he can play jazz, and he can play country, and he adapts to anything. He's on with Hans Zimmer on tour. Playing cinematic.
yeah.
He does everything. So, 100% would be Guthrie.
One guitar you can only have one guitar ever to play ever again, what would it be? I'm not expecting you to say a Shijie,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
but
I
what if you could only have one style of guitar,
guitar. It'd be an S type for me.
an S type?
Yeah, I think an S type would pretty much cover, or maybe a T, a T as well. It'd be between those two, which is kind of not, which everyone's pretty much got anyway. But I would say an S type then. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we were discussing what would be your artist guitar, and
Mm.
at the time we just turned on and said, "Well, what have you got?" And you said, "Well, I've got about 8 Strats." Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Got you.
said, "Well, not one of them then." And I think you were using a Sire or something as a Telecaster.
Yeah, I had a Sire. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Next question. So you get to a gig, and the back line that they promised you is not the one that you've got. It's just a clean amp on stage,
Mm.
and you're only allowed one pedal to go with it. What would it be? You can
Oh,
have a bit of reverb off the PA, a bit of delay,
yeah.
maybe.
The pedal wise, it would have to be some sort of like, I guess, like kind of an overdrive on a clean platform would work well. So something like a Friedman, one of the Brown Eyes, because I think with it, or kind of a, yeah, I think something like that, like one of the whatever the Friedman one is, very cool.
The ODX, is it?
Yeah, something like that. Really like
ODB one.
It works
I,
well with the clean kind of platform. I think with it, even with that, you can roll off the volume and get back to clean, or there's a break up there, or you can,
yeah, I've got the one that does the 3 channels of that. So
yeah.
that I'd replace the Mesa Boogie because the Mesa Boogie was actually just too filthy. The one that I had.
Was it? What's the
Yeah,
one
so
that Strymon do as well? The starts with an
uh,
E, starts with an
yeah,
I.
Iridium.
That's it, or one of them. Actually,
Yeah,
that would be it. I do have one of them somewhere. They are great because
really?
yeah, because you can go through the Vox kind of sound, the Marshall, and then you got like the Boogie kind of sound just with one pedal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I never hear people talking about the Iridium like they do about like a timeline or something
No.
like that.
Yeah,
So
they're great little pedals. They are. They're great for the money.
yeah. So how many guitars have you actually got, James? You know,
I never
that you're
counted till
prepared to admit to,
yeah, I'd be afraid. I got 12 in this room. No, 13 in this room.
right?
So we'll,
But for you, what makes a good guitar?
I think most important, if I had to say the most important, right, it would be it's one which can stay in tune
Right.
anywhere I go. I know that sounds like stupid, but you say most guitars stay in tune, but not a lot can do, especially if you've got the words, has so many factors to it, right? The word, like in the Shijie, we got the carbon fiber rod in that, which I don't have to tune that at all. I know when I pick that up, it will just pretty much be in tune.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got to go straight from nothing to playing something or to do this take. It's like if I'm recording, I'll have to record and then play it and record. I don't have to tune it.
Yeah. Are your taxis like you just getting into a studio and you know that you haven't got time for it to settle down again?
Yeah, and just like so,
Yeah.
tuning would be my number one. That is the first thing I look for. How good is the tuning of it? How the stability, and obviously how the second thing would be like, okay, well, how does it sound? The
Yeah.
pickups. I tend to like later on in my life, I've gone to like low output pickups. I think I can dynamically get a lot more from that, especially with my touch. I've got quite a fairly light touch, and I like that kind of being in control of the legato dynamic with the pickups. I don't really like heavy saturated pickup humbucker kind of sounds. Like I prefer single coils, if I'm honest. Uh,
Right. Okay.
so
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, obviously the sound with the pickups and how I'm hearing that, and just the feel of the neck. But yeah, I would say in that order actually, how tuning stability and just what I get and how much depth I can get from those pickups. How much can I work them?
I think budget guitars have come a really, really long way now. We all know that you can get a pretty good guitar for a couple of £100, but I
Right?
think the things that you highlight there are the things that make the difference. For sure, tuning budget guitars tend not to stay in tune
Uh,
that well. A very well known uh, guitar innovator that I know personally. We were talking about a tremolo system, and he just said, "Well, what do you expect?" He
yeah,
said, "He said it's ornamental rather than functional." You know,
yeah. Well, it's like you
Um,
look at like say a Gibson Les Paul, like that would be a lot of people's dream guitar. But for me, like it's stuff that I don't want. It's like it's super heavy. It's very chunky neck. It's like, and sometimes the tuning can be a bit thin. Whilst a lot of
yeah,
people do like dream guitar Les Paul. So it's so good that we live in a world where you can customize any guitar you want, or you can go to and get anything you want. But
yeah,
what works for me will not work for other people. But I like that. I like it.
yeah. So, I mean, the Shijie guitar that you have is a TLV
So
custom. What do you like about that, and what would you? Let's be honest, right? What would be the improvements that you would make on it, or where would you feel it could be improved on?
do you know what? I'm not just saying this, but I don't think I could at the minute. I haven't had one issue with it. With the bone
Yeah,
nut, the carbon fiber rod stays in tune. The
yeah,
pickups with the Duncans in it, it's got that kind of cutting edge sound that a telly has without it being too spiky.
yeah, yeah,
Perfect, because I don't like really top endy kind of sound, and like I always roll off the top end, but I don't even have to roll a lot of the end of that telly, even though it's a different
yeah,
sound to a kind of a Strat, but it just sits well, and the stability of it.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, that's why, like I said,
But it's a Telecaster style guitar at the end of the day, or a T style guitar, I should say.
yeah,
At
and
the
I
end of
love
the
the
day,
TT style, you know.
yeah. So, but I mean, like you're currently gigging with the Blondie
On
Experience,
the
or is
experience.
that the next one? Is it?
That's the one I've been doing with, yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
it looks cool, you know.
yeah. But you can't do all the songs on that because there's some very definite bits of trem work on them, right? So
There's some
so
tremolo stuff, yeah. So, but I take two guitars and like have I switch in songs.
right,
It gives me enough time so I can use them.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's not an
Well,
issue.
we'll have to look at. We'll have to look at getting you one of the she GSTs or something in future, I think. So, I mean, we've
Yeah,
discussed it before, right? So,
I think
yeah,
that was the coy, wasn't it, at the start when I went, well, I've got a few strats, and we're like, right, we'll get a telly.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think because you knew I'd get that one and be like, right, he's gonna have another. I want another now.
yeah. It's funny. We do have one guy. We've got police siren outside. It's been crazy today. The We do have one guy that he's he's an avid STE user. Absolutely, never picture you with anything else. And yet, if you go to his links on his website, he actually says that he's playing a Sir,
Oh,
which amuses me and annoys me in equal amounts. I do get a bit annoyed, but I put together the contract that everyone sort of signs up to anyway and stuff, and I don't believe that it's such a thing as a one size fits all guitar. So, I personally don't have any problems with people playing other stuff so long as the Shiji's used as a main rotation, and it's great to have really great players such as you on board that are prepared to do that. But I'd like to see less of the Sir, obviously. So that's something
yeah,
that we'll have to talk about in future. Great deals going on at the moment.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we had a guy come here. We've got a sale on STs at the moment, and he had a TLV, same as you did before,
yeah.
literally the same as yours. And he absolutely picked up the ST and just said, "This is amazing. Why didn't I do this in the first place?"
Mm.
Like
Well, it's for the
very
money as
different.
well. It's for the money, like what you're getting on that spec of the TLV custom, like the one I've got. It's like if you're looking at like a Fender custom shop or anything like that, you're talking a few grand at least on that.
Well, I just looked. I mean, you're probably aware. Fender have just recently launched their new vintage mod, and I know a lot of us laugh about the innovation never sleeps thing because they're not really innovating anything. Everybody's done it before.
Yeah.
But if you look at that, it's basically a copy of the Shiji.
Mm.
We which sounds bizarre because obviously the Shiji STE vintage. We do it with a two-hander 6 point go to style bridge. It's even got the um, we call it the crack nitro.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
effects on it as well. And they've just brought this out, but it's like £2,700. Whereas we do a version of it for like 1150, you know,
yeah,
in and it's different countries, different currencies, different. Obviously, the customs things, some prices up and down, but the fact that I would actually put our vintage STE up against any one of those, even if it was done in their custom shop, and say it's going to be as good, if not better.
yeah, yeah.
I really would. Yeah,
I'd agree. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree.
So what? Let's finish off with the aspirations. We know where you are now. You're quite successful doing what you do. You seem to be getting a lot of varied work.
Yep.
You also do the rock school thing, right? You're the like, just give yourself some credit for that. What is it that you do there?
So with their recent syllabus, which started in 2020, well, this year 2025, they release the books every 5 years, is it? So I was one of the guitarists who recorded all the audio for the books of the rock school, which was fun. That was a really cool little project. That
So there's probably people all over the world that are
Well, this is
hearing you
it.
play that
That's
don't
fun.
know you. That don't know
Exactly.
it.
So there's people all over who are listening to my guitar playing who don't know. Yeah, but so I did a lot of the grade 8 on there, the top level grade. I think 7 as well, 6. So
Yeah.
there's songs like Spain on there. You know, Chick Corea's Spain. What other tracks? Oh, Cliffs of Dover by Eric Johnson. That's on
All
there,
right.
grade 8. So there's some cool tunes to learn. But yeah, I'll occasionally myself go on YouTube and just search for the grade 8 and see who's playing them, and it's quite interesting to see. So yeah,
Right. I
that was
didn't know that. I didn't know it was specific as doing like tracks like Cliffs of Dover, which I absolutely love. Yeah, you'll have to do that one of your YouTube videos for us.
it's a great tune,
Yeah.
and it was great. It was a great experience, and it was a great honor to be asked to do. You know, because I grew up learning from those books as well,
Yeah.
um, and to be asked to record them for other people around the country or wherever they come from the world. It's a good honor for me to.
So, so if people want to get in touch with you, James, in order to take some lessons and up their game, how would they do that?
So if you go on my
What's the best
YouTube,
way of getting hold of it?
yeah. So like my YouTube's probably my best place to see and get hold. I'm always putting out little free bite-sized lessons. But if people want to get in touch with me, via my email,
I've
um,
seen you doing a play along thing last week. I think you said that you haven't done one for a while. Was it, you had a PRS at the time, gutted I was.
oh yeah, it's just yeah. Um, but yeah, no, I always try and do a little play out and like.
but yeah, you did this. Yeah.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
think you
So,
stalled there.
so
Oh, there you go.
have you got a community thing on your YouTube channel then, where people can contact you about getting lessons or like hire you in for
Yeah, I
tours and
mean,
stuff?
if you can find me on my socials as well, stuff like that. Maybe I'll give you all the details and you can write it in the description or whatever when we do this video.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, socials then like email. But yeah, you like YouTube is the one which has got me a lot of the work in terms of I've got so many gigs from I got the rock school gig from YouTube. I got the Blondie thing from YouTube. So a lot of the things I've got from just putting little bite-sized lessons out, bite-sized of me playing something, and a lot of the time I'll just press record on the camera and I'll just
Yeah.
whatever happens happens. I'll do it.
Yeah. The bond experience came in like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. A lot. To be honest, like a lot of the gigs I do in work has come through just like I think people use socials in a different way. A lot of people will go on, I don't know, like TikTok and that if they just want a quick yep, scrub.
Yeah. Yeah.
When people want to learn and be educated and people want to actually dive deeper into a subject, they'll tend to go on YouTube. And with my sort of like kind of playing, it's not a sort of thing you can kind of get like in 2 minutes. It's not it's more of a
Yeah.
conceptual based like kind of playing. And that's how I teach as well. It's more like concept and how to do something rather than here's this lick, copy this. Because I
Yeah.
knew that didn't work for me. It was more
Yeah.
like, well, how do you do this, and well, how do I? What's the
Yeah.
concept behind it?
That Yeah, that's really important because I think that people that just copy stuff like rote learning, we used to call it years ago,
Mm,
you'd copy just you never really learn, and
don't.
very few people have got the mental capacity to be able to take all these licks that they've learned to turn it into something that's unique. But if you say this is the way I'm thinking based around this,
You learn way
people
more.
can go there a bit easier.
Yeah, and that's the case. Like I always teach it in the way, if you're learning the alphabet, it doesn't mean you're going to be a great writer. If you're learning
Yeah,
scales and you go up and down on scales all day, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to improvise or write with scales. There's definitely certain ways to go about it and how to use it. And that's basically kind of how I teach rather than saying, right, here's this lick, here's this pentatonic lick, learn that, and then you'll be fine. It's like that's not how
yeah,
it works really. So, but yeah, so like a lot of my YouTube is based on that kind of thing, rather than clickbaity kind of stuff. So yeah, it's
yeah. We are in the TikTok age at the moment. I think there's a lot of people using that platform, but for me, YouTube is still the first place that I go. But
yeah,
I'm addicted to it. I'm actually thinking about stopping the TV license because I don't watch any TV anymore.
yeah.
It's all YouTube.
Well, the thing is with
Yeah,
YouTube is it's like you open up anything else, say TikTok, and it's like right, this is what you're given, and you just scroll
yeah,
dead. What do they call it? Doom scrolling. Whilst if you go on YouTube, it's like
yeah,
you could look up anything you want to learn. So even if it's not
mm,
guitar, it's like how do you change a tire? You go onto that, and there's some guy
yeah,
who's telling you in absolute minute detail how to do it properly. And it's like that is how you learn. Like
yeah.
it's not a 1 minute thing. It's a well, I'm going to spend time doing this,
I
and
did it with this place that I've built over the last couple of months. Half the things I didn't know how to do before, even in the last week, changing
yeah,
putting an electric socket in and stuff.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's it.
Have you got your TLV there, James, so that we can just show
Yeah,
your.
here it
So
is.
that's James Davis with his Shijie
Yeah,
TLV custom,
that's it.
and
You
it's
like
a
that?
rather beautiful looking guitar.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah,
The best for me, Telecasters are still the best. Sorry, T-style guitars are
T-Star.
still the
Yeah,
best
yeah, yeah.
workhorse.
They're great.
The great workhorses.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, they're
yeah.
absolutely.
Somebody once said if you can't play it on a T-style, it's not worth playing. And
They're definitely
I think they're probably right.
well, they're definitely unforgiving. It's got that kind of
Yeah,
that twang to it, and you've
yeah,
got to work hard for it, which I like. I've always been about that. Like I was always
yeah,
like a straight guitar to an amp kind of guy. I never use a lot of effects. I kind of like that kind of. You can plug this in to just a clean up, and it's still a Telecaster you can hear. You're just not,
yeah,
and that's what I
yeah.
like.
The pickups on that the Seymour Duncan ones are a very traditional sort of like town. I mean, like we do some of like the new anniversary ones have got like the twang series, and they've got that extra little nastiness in the bite until you back them off.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know,
Like this doesn't
yeah,
have a lot of that spike to it, which I like, but it's still you can hear it's a Telecaster.
yeah, yeah,
Which I like that it's got that Telecaster vibe without being too harsh.
yeah. When we originally launched the classic version of that, the level below, that had very unspiky pickups. So one of the requests that we had was to make it a little bit more spiky. So
Right.
so we did that for that particular guitar. But whether it's improved it or not is a matter of opinion. It's definitely more of a that Fender Telecaster sort of sound now than it was. But for me, it's also lost some of the quality for playing some of the other stuff as well.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
terms in terms of that ramness of tone for being very very versatile.
yeah. So
Yeah, but still a great guitar.
if I was to flip that question on you, what would be your ultimate style guitar?
I love Super Strats.
It's the Strat as well. Yeah.
Super Strats. Yeah, I like a humbucker in the back. Ideally, I like a humbucker in the neck as well. Super switch. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I was a Les Paul player for years. I hated Strats. So all the time I was playing professionally.
Yeah.
Up till 1999, I was playing a Les Paul.
Right.
But then I got introduced to Jacksons and stuff, and I seen the other side of it.
All the pointy
Um,
headstocks.
yeah, I do like the pointy edge stuff. I think that comes from the White Snake videos there, where they lifted it all like this and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Look really cool. But the Super Strat things were great. I had a number of other guitars for a long time, and then how many years ago? 3 years ago now, I got my first Shijie, and I just couldn't believe how incredibly good it was, irrespective of the price. Mark Date, one of the other artists,
Mm.
he said it's brilliant. He said not just for the price, Mark. He said maybe we should cut the video here. I don't know. I'll get Alex to make that decision. But Mark, he just said this is, not any guitar. He says this is just brilliant. He said I just love the way it feels and the way it plays. He said I can play this better than another guitar that he was famous for playing.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
the same happened with me. Like one of my students who you know as well was called Lee.
yeah,
And Lee had the Shiji, and I was
the
like,
bodybuilder guy.
yeah, and he's in the
Yeah,
Navy. I knew him from the Navy because
right.
I wasn't in the Navy. Sorry, I should.
Yeah, in the
I
Navy.
yeah, I was playing a gig in Plymouth, and he was in the audience. I didn't know him, and he liked my playing, and I was like, oh, cool. Then we got talking, and you generally speak to people at gigs, and I just thought he was just on a night
Yeah,
out, and he was like, he was like, oh yes, you like Guthrie? And I was like, whoa, you know who Guthrie is? This is just a random guy. And he's like, yeah.
yeah,
And he wanted lessons. Then so we got chatting and got friendly. And then he had this Shiji, and I was like, that's crazy good. I've never heard of this company. Like, who are they? He was like saying, mate, you need to get on this. These guys are ahead. And I was like, and then he had another one, and then he had another one, and I was like, but it sounded amazing.
yeah.
So he was the one who got me onto you guys originally.
Yeah. And that was when you contacted me in the first place.
Yeah,
At the time, I mean, Shiji UK's doing okay now. As an entity, and a lot of people have heard of us because we work hard at it. We go up and down the guitar shows all over the country. It's become a bit of a labour of love for me as well. And I've got responsibilities just outside Shiji UK as well now, so which I quite enjoy. We'll call it a line there, James, because I think that we've probably started to stray a little bit too much.
it's all good.
But it's all good.
It's all good.
So if you want the button.
Bang.